It just so happened, I have no computer experience, but it just so happened they're looking for someone who has a more traditional film background and at the same time has a little bit of animation experience. I just somehow just fit the bill. I'm Patrick Lin. I'm a director of photography at Pixar, and I work in layout. And some of the films I've worked on, wow, I worked on 11 of the Pixar feature films. It's hard to name now, but I DP'd, I'm the layout DP for Incredibles, Up, and Inside Out. And also worked on, I'm also the DP on the short film, Blue Umbrella. I study live action film. I went to a college, a California College of Arts and Crafts, and I study live action films. And I always wanted to get into live action films. And when I went to school back then, I love animations, but back then there's no computer animations. Like you have to know how to draw to become an animator, and I really suck at drawing. So, although I like animation, so I know that it's not a career path for me, you know. So I studied live action film. I always loved film when I was a kid, and it's something I always wanted to do. So I studied live actions and trying to get into the live action route. But the school is in San Francisco Bay Area. San Francisco doesn't really have a lot of live action film shoot. It's not like LA. There's abundance. So, you know, so after I graduated, I somehow got into special effects, because what Bay Area has is lots of special effects houses, because Lucasfilm is up there, right? So I got into special effects, and I became a motion control programmer, which is programming the old motion control cameras for special effects, and one of the project is for IMAX film. Is a ride film that I was doing for IMAX, and in that ride film has an animated character, stop motion animated character. So we hired a animator from Skellington Production, who has just finished shooting Nightmare Before Christmas. So I got to know him. That's kind of my first animation experience. So after work with him for a few months, you know, he said, oh, we're starting a new project. It's called James and the Giant Peach. It's a stop motion film directed by Henry Selick. It's a follow-up to Nightmare. I go, wow, this sounds great. I want to do that. So I was hired over there to become a camera assistant. So that is my first experience with animated feature. And after that, you know, stop motion animation is really hard, because everything, all the equipments are heavy back then, because you have the really big camera, everything has to be glued down, and it's tough work. So after I finished it, I thought I want something different. I want something a bit easier. And that was in 1995. That's when Toy Story came out. And after I saw Toy Story I go, wow, I think I can do that. Everything is light. It's all in the computer. There's undo. I like that, you know. So I tried to apply to Pixar. It took a while. It took like almost a year for them to actually interview and hire me. It is called Funhouse Express. If you go on YouTube, you can find it. You can watch it. It was done in no, it was shot with is it Super 35? It's not 35, but we have a huge dome lens with it. It's going to be projected on the dome. So it's not actually it's not projecting IMAX film. It is actually an IMAX ride film. So they're trying to develop a different system, which is a dome projections right in front of you, so that you can actually ride it with a peripheral visions. Wow. Well, that is a good question. Everyone asks that question. My mom asks that question a lot too. Well, basically is computer animation actually is a lot like live action film. you have sets, only it's virtual. You have characters, you have actors, right? So, and ours is digital characters, like Woody or Buzz Lightyear. And we put those digital characters into our digital sets, and you have to film them with a digital camera. Now, I know you might think, why is there a camera? But then again, you need to position the camera, you need to shoot it, and our camera, although it's virtual, is mathematically true to a physical camera. It has lens, it has f-stop, it has depth of field, everything is mathematically exactly the same as a physical camera. So we have to set the lens, we have to set the f-stop, we have to set the, well, you can call it tripod, but it's basically float in space. But we have to decide how wide is the shot, how is it going to be a two-shot, is it going to be a single, should the camera move, should the camera not move, if it's moving, what type of camera movement should it be. So all this has to be done by layout. It's called a Captcha Room. Basically, it's like motion capture, you know, like the actor with a ping pong ball, and they move, and that movement got recorded into the computer. And for us, we don't record the characters, we record the camera movements. So the reason we do that is a lot of times if you want your camera to feel natural, especially for the handheld shots or any Steadicam or any of those shots, it's really hard to actually keyframe program it. It's like, let's just say if a real cameraman would be holding a camera, he would do a weight shift, subtle things like that. There's very natural things that the cameramen do. But in computer, it's really hard to program those things. That's why we decided that we want to actually capture those little nuances so that the camera will feel more natural. And we started that process actually not on Inside Out, it was actually started on Blue Umbrella. Because Blue Umbrella is supposed to be this photorealistic shorts. And we want really not photorealistic movement, but we want like really physical movement. And the only way to do that is to capture it. That's the first time we start to experiment with the camera capture. And after I finished that film, it just so happened that Inside Out, just the story sort of require some camera movement like that to support the story. So we decided to update that system a little bit and you know, make the room a little bit bigger and then have a little bit better equipment, and that's why that's when we do the capturing. And we do it not as a live action capturing tool. We do it as a post animation camera polishing tool. That means that we still lay out the shot traditionally, and then we will give it to animation. They will do they'll animate the shots, and then after they're done with animations, we will go back in and recapture. Like there's already a character there already, so that's why so something that we can follow basically. The artistic reason for that is we keep thinking that the movies happens within the mind, and we keep thinking the mind's supposed to be more deep than wide. You know, that's really the only reason. I can't explain it. You know, we talked about it, and we just felt that, you know, when it's too wide, it doesn't feel right. You know, and I think longer, deeper was probably better. That's the only reason. Layout works really low. I mean, just like 1080p, like 1920 by. Because layout, we don't need super high resolutions to frame. And we have to load everything too, because we have to load all the sets, we have to load all the props, we have to load all the characters. Now, none other department needs to do that, so we need to keep things light, and recording speed fast. I like 3D, but when we're doing productions, we don't purposefully think of a way to stage it in 3D, because I still think the medium, just working in 2D is hard enough. It's very hard to think 3D. That's why luckily we have an extra team of 3D artists to help us with that. So what I would usually do is before I shoot the film, I would have a shooting plan. and I will I will show that to the 3D lead, the stereo lead, and then he would actually work his 3D magic, based on that plan, so that it doesn't contradict it and just kind of flows with it. And there are some surprises too. At first, we're thinking, well, maybe the inside the memory sphere, we always thought those should be flat. But and then he did a test and make the inside 3D too, and actually it looks really cool when it moves around. So that's something that he pitched, and we changed our mind. So it definitely looks a lot better.